In the wild world of entertainment, trends come and go like the latest TikTok dance crazes. Remember those elevated horror hits like The Babadook, It Follows, and The Witch? They had us all hooked for a while, but lately things have taken a darker turn in horror flicks. We're talking more gore, more chills, and more twisted plots. Makes you wonder if it's just mirroring all the chaos and drama in the real world, doesn't it? Welcome to the Replay Media, where horror fans gather to explore the darkest depths of cinema. You know how it is. We're always on the hunt for the next heart-stopping scare or jaw-dropping special effect. And let's be real, sometimes we're in the mood for something truly intense, right? That's where those disturbing horror movie lists come in handy. Featuring classics like A Serbian Film, Cannibal Holocaust, and The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And guess what? You guys voted for us to dive into the disturbing stuff. So, here we are. Over the past few years, there's been a bunch of horror flicks hitting the scene that really push the boundaries. We're talking seriously disturbing, trigger warning worthy stuff. These films aren't for the faint of heart, but if you're after a deep dive into the twisted corners of humanity, they might just scratch that itch. Welcome to the dark side of cinema. So let's start off with Smile. This movie caused quite a buzz back in 2022 thanks to its clever viral marketing, which really matched the whole theme of trauma spreading like wildfire throughout the film. Picture this. Therapist Dr. Cotter, played by Sosie Bacon, has a front row seat to a patient's tragic suicide. From that moment on, she's caught up in a real-life nightmare trying to shake off the curse that's got its claws in her. Smile might not be a typical gore fest, but it's got its own way of creeping you out. One thing that really hits hard is how it tackles trauma. It's like a chain reaction that just keeps hitting you in the feels.
Almost time, Rose.
When the fuck are you?
And hey, props to the movie for shining a light on mental health stuff, even if it's with a spooky twist. Oh, and those visuals? That grin will haunt your dreams for days. Plus, get ready for some serious heart-pounding jump scares. And let's not forget about that ginormous toothy monster. It's nightmare material for sure. So, have you checked out Netflix's The Platform yet? It's got this whole eat the rich vibe going on that's really resonated with folks, along with some seriously intense moments. Picture this. Inmates stuck in this vertical prison tower trying to decide how much grub to snag from this platform that moves through the levels. And get this, it's like a hierarchy of hunger, with each floor getting less food than the one above. The movie really dives deep into human nature, showing just how selfish and survival-driven we can be. Alright, so here's the scoop with The Platform. You've got these prisoners up top who are basically scarfing down all the food, leaving nothing for the poor souls below. And let me tell you, things get real desperate down there. We're talking cannibalism, folks. Yeah, it's that grim. What's worse is some of these upper level dudes know how rough it is down below, but they're too busy stuffing their faces to care. It's a total mess, and it ain't pretty.
Whoever eats my flesh and drinks my blood remains in me, and I in them.
By the end of it all, you might find yourself wondering just how much you'd sacrifice to help someone out in a tough spot. So, Infinity Pool is about this young couple, James and M, who head off on what seems like the perfect vacay to this island resort. But guess what? things get real weird real fast. James gets sucked into this crazy world by Gabby, this mysterious character who's all charm and mystery. Suddenly, he's caught up in this twisted game where reality and fantasy blend together. At first, James is totally grossed out by what's going down, but before you know it, he's kinda hooked on the whole scene. His inner wild side starts to come out, and it's a trip, man. And Infinity Pool doesn't mess around when it comes to delivering some seriously messed up stuff. We're talking clones, power plays, and all sorts of twisted shenanigans. The plot's like a twisted, crazy roller coaster ride, full of surprises and hidden meanings at every turn. And if you're just in it for the scares, don't worry, this flick's got plenty of shock value to keep you on the edge of your seat. Bottom line, it's a wild ride that's totally worth checking out. Alright, so Titan is this French body horror movie that's all sorts of crazy.
Tu veux faire quoi avec ça?
Picture this. You've got Alexa, played by Agathe Roussel, who's on the run from the law because she's a serial killer, right? But here's the kicker. She's pregnant. And not in the usual way. Nope. Her baby's the result of, wait for it, having sex with a car. Yeah, you heard that right. It's as wild as it sounds. Okay, buckle up for the ride that is Titan. Alexa's journey is one heck of a roller coaster with some seriously messed up moments along the way. We're talking graphic murders, yup, even our own folks get it. Then there's the self-abortion attempt, the whole belly taping ordeal. And don't even get me started on that birth scene. Let's just say it's not your typical delivery, and those squelching sounds, they'll make your skin crawl. So if you're a horror buff, prepare to squirm. This one's gonna leave a mark, and you might want to avoid parking lots for a while after watching. Now listen up, horror fans, you gotta check out Hatching. It's this awesome Finnish body horror flick that dropped in 2022. The story revolves around Tinja, a 12-year-old girl played by Siri Solalina, who stumbles upon this mysterious bird egg. Now, Tinja's life, let's just say it's a hot mess. She's got a little brother who's a total pain, a mom who's always up in her business, and a dad who's either clueless or just doesn't care about what's going on. And let me tell you, you'll totally feel for Tinja. I mean, who hasn't dealt with some family drama, right? Alright, here's where things get wild with Hatching. So, Tinja's frustrations start to spiral out of control. And guess what? That mysterious egg she found, it starts growing like crazy. Until it finally hatches into this huge bird-like creature. And let me tell you, the practical effects, they're out of this world. All gooey and gross in the best way possible. But here's the kicker. Despite this creature straight up murdering folks left and right, Tinja's still looking after it. Talk about loyalty, right? Oh, and don't even get me started on the family drama. It's like a whole other level of messed up. Alright now, listen up. If you haven't heard of Mad God yet, you're in for a treat. This stop-motion flick is a total labor of love from director Phil Tippett. And get this, it took him over 30 years to finish. The story follows this crazy assassin dude as he plunges into this crazy nightmare world, encountering all sorts of freaky monsters and horrors along the way. And here's the kicker. There's hardly any dialogue in the whole movie. Nope. It's all about the jaw-dropping claymation and mind-blowing visuals. Trust me, you've never seen anything quite like it. When it comes to animated flicks, you don't usually expect to be freaked out, right? I mean, especially not claymation stuff where every little detail's crafted by hand, but hold on to your hats, cause Mad God flips that script big time. I'm talking about a non-stop parade of nightmare fuel. Seriously, every frame is packed with the stuff of your darkest dreams. We're talking blood, death, and even a bit of excrement thrown in for good measure. But here's the thing. Despite all the horror, you can't look away. It's like watching a train wreck in the best way possible. And let me tell you, this ain't your typical animated or horror flick. Nope. Mad God is in a league of its own. It's more like a piece of fine art, if you ask me. Okay, now let's talk about Color Out of Space.
Mommy?
It's this wild body horror flick with none other than Nicolas Cage leading the charge as the dad of a seriously messed up family. So get this, a freaky meteor crash lands near their farm. And before you know it, their water's all contaminated. Next thing you know, they're spiraling into this Lovecraftian nightmare that'll make your skin crawl. Trust me, it's a trip you won't soon forget. Color Out of Space is actually based on this H.P. Lovecraft story, and let me tell you, it's a wild ride. You've got Cage's character Nathan totally losing it and going off on his family in a fit of rage.
You know, I did everything I was supposed to do. I followed every fucking rule in the book. In the end, they still fucking taste like shit. You know what? Fuck that.
Plus, the creature's effects, they're top notch. And they're gonna make you squirm in your seat for sure. Oh, and don't even get me started on the ending. It's one of those non-conclusive deals that'll have you scratching your head and maybe even questioning your own sanity. So now we're diving into David Cronenberg's world with Crimes of the Future. Picture this. It's this sleek but kinda messed up sci-fi future where humans have evolved past feeling pain or needing meds. Sounds cool, right? Well, hold on to your hats, cause things get weirder. Open surgery and self-mutilation? Yeah, they're like the new norm. And then you've got Saul Tenser and Caprice, these performance artists who make a living growing tumors and cutting them out for an audience. Crazy, I know, but here's where it gets really wild. They catch the attention of this underground movement with some big plans, and suddenly they're thrown into the mix. Trust me, it's a trip you won't forget. So let's talk about Cronenberg for a sec. Guy's a master at turning gore into art, right? And Crimes of the Future is no exception. It's this wild mix of smart, deep stuff about humanity and all that jazz, mixed with some seriously stomach-churning gore. Like one minute, you're pondering the meaning of life.
Our youngest and most beautiful. We see that the world is killing our children from the inside out.
And the next, you're watching some lady flaunt open wounds on her face. It's bizarre, but kinda beautiful in its own twisted way. Rob Lee really hit the nail on the head with that one. So Terrifier 2 is hands down one of the sickest slashers of 2022. It's all about Art the Clown, played by David Howard Thornton, going on a rampage in this small town, and let me tell you, it's a bloodbath. Now, the first Terrifier was already packed with gore, violence, and all sorts of nasty stuff. I'm talking fecal matter and all. But here's the kicker. Audiences couldn't get enough of Art's twisted antics. So, Terrifier 2 scored itself a bigger budget. And you know what that means, right? More chances for some seriously gross out horror. Alright, so let's talk about the gore in Terrifier 2. It's everywhere, and it's as real as it gets. But you know what really takes it to the next level? David Howard Thornton's performance as Art the Clown. Seriously, this guy brings the creep factor to a whole new level. You might even catch yourself kinda liking the dude, even though he's out there breaking, maiming, and torturing folks left and right. And get this, he does it all with this creepy silent laugh that'll send shivers down your spine. It's twisted, but in a weird way, you can't help but be drawn to him. We talked about The Sadness in our most disturbing movies of the 21st century video, and we couldn't leave it off this list because it blessed us with its presence in the past 5 years. The Sadness is this Taiwanese horror flick that'll make your skin crawl. So you've got this couple just trying to find each other in the midst of this crazy virus outbreak. But here's the kicker, it's not your typical zombie apocalypse. Nope, these are regular folks turning into bloodthirsty maniacs, acting out their darkest impulses. And let me tell you, the violence, it's graphic, it's intense, and yeah, sometimes it's even sexual. We're talking some seriously messed up visuals that'll stay with you long after the credits roll. Now, let's dive into what The Sadness is all about. So, the title itself kinda gives you a clue. It's all about the remorse and guilt these characters feel when they're out there doing some seriously messed up stuff. Picture this. Some of them are straight up crying while they're inflicting violence. But here's where it gets really twisted. There are others who are actually loving it. Like they're reveling in this newfound freedom to let out all their darkest urges. It's messed up, right? Makes you wonder, what's really lurking inside the people you know? And hey, maybe even yourself. It's some deep, disturbing stuff to think about. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We hope you enjoyed our rundown of the 10 most disturbing movies from the past 5 years. Trust us, these flicks will leave you questioning everything and maybe even sleeping with one eye open tonight. But hey, that's the beauty of horror, right? And lastly, we want to hear from you. Drop your suggestions for future videos in the comments below. The comment with the most likes will get featured in our next video. Until next time, keep the scares alive.